Welcome back to another clay video. Today we are going to create the Vanilla Dome from Super Mario World. As always, let's start out with the paper printout to use as a stencil. I'm not 100% sure I'll create the Valley of Bowser, but just in case, I printed it out with this map. This was a section of the main Super Mario World map that I wanted to add in when I created it. I thought it would have been cool to either lift up the mountain or be able to look in the backside and see the Vanilla Dome inside of it, but it just ended up being way too small to fit inside of there. Although it's nice that I can come back to it and create it as its own individual map. Now that we have the different parts of the map separated, we can use them to start cutting the clay. Usually I'm using dirt and grass for the different layers, but this one seems to be more so different layers of rock. There's a lower section of the map that would have been really hard to cut out and perfectly match these main pieces. As I cut and shape the pieces, they don't always stay very true to the stencil. So I don't think there was any way for this bottom piece to be cut out with the stencil and still be the right size. Doing it this way, however, we have a really nice fit. The last thing we need to do before baking it is to cut out the area for the lake. After baking, we can start adding in the top layer. Sometimes it can be a little bit tricky to put soft clay on top of baked clay, but if you push it down hard enough, it seems to stick pretty good. Starting with the last video, I got back into making maps, and I'm not sure why, but it's been a while since I created them. Judging by the comments that I read, you guys really seem to like when I create these maps. So I think at least for now, I'll start working on more maps and less figures. Now that we have the top layer done, we can start working on the path. These pathways show up on pretty much every Mario map. They're all created exactly the same, but never really seem repetitive. I think it's because they always go through different sceneries and environments. On the right side, we have a couple sections that will be for level markers and the castle. And finally, at the very end of the path will be a warp pipe. For the bottom section of the map, we have a couple of little boulders, which I made just by mixing together a couple balls of clay. And I made a much more simple version of that to decorate all of the landscape. We have most of the actual map done, and now we need to start creating the different objects that go on it, starting with the warp pipes. I like to add this little bit of black in the middle. It helps give the illusion that you can see down inside of the pipe. The next object we will create is the ghost house. I did an extreme improvement on this compared to when I made the Super Mario World map. The house looks better, but especially the boo. The boos I created on the other map weren't really the best. Although this one isn't perfect, I think it looks a lot better. Next we have this tiny little red switch. And let's get that onto the platform. Next, we will work on the tower. Let's add in some little black windows. And after putting that onto the map, we need to take some green to make a little grassy layer around it. I have the worst time trying to create stars. So let's just take a star off of the star world and use that as a stencil. After shaping it up, we have a nice little star. And we can take some FIMO liquid to start creating the lake. For most of the maps I created, I just used some blue clay for the water, but sometimes using this liquid clay looks a lot better. You could also use resin, but I don't really like using resin because it's a little bit too shiny and it doesn't match the look of the clay very well. It's good for realistic things, but not really for cartoony looking things. And now, we are ready to get baked. After baking, let's take a black marker to draw on the eyes for the star. And now we can begin the very painful process of painting. The little dots on the water weren't really that hard to make, but these little ladder pieces took me forever. That is our final detail, so here it is, the Vanilla Dome from Super Mario World. I hope you all enjoyed the video. I'll leave a playlist at the end that has the other maps I've created from Super Mario World. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.